I was wondering if you have any advice when your family doesn't support your journey, like constantly worrying about me, etc., which makes me feel like I'm imprisoned by them and living with them. Thank you. So this doesn't sound like a quick answer. I don't know if you want to call in, Andre, but I think we could have a long discussion about that, and like lots of things we could look at, because why is it that your parents are worried about you, or why is it that your family's worried about you? Because there might be some jewels in that. Like there might be some gems in why they're worried about you. There might be some things that help you. And also there might be feelings in you that you can look at, like what it feels like to disobey your parents. Like what is it that you're predominantly afraid of? I had to disobey my parents. The worst thing I ever did, which is really funny, that my parents were most upset about, but maybe they didn't know about all the things I did, was that I shaved my hair off when I was like 20. And my mum didn't speak to me for like a month. She was mortified. She was so angry with me. And yeah, and then when I went to do it a second time, they drove all the way to my university because they thought that I needed to go into, like I was going mad or something, just because I shaved my hair. Whereas in me, from my perspective, is I wanted to experience what it was like to be not attractive by men. And my God, was that a learning experience. To me, it was really integral to my process and gave me a lot of depth to walk around in society where they either think you've got cancer, a lesbian, or maybe it's not so outrageous now, but 20 years ago it was, or there's something wrong with you. And like what it does to men, like men not finding you attractive, you know, from having long blonde hair to having none. And I couldn't wear makeup when I shaved all my hair off because I looked like a transvestite. I tried, but I was no Sinead O'Connor. It really didn't suit me. It was like I have a bumpy forehead, not a pretty forehead, and very black hair that came through. Even though my hair's blonde, it comes back looking very black because I have very white skin and a very white head. Yeah, it was a really amazing experience. I really liked it. Guilt, shame. I just shaved my hair too, and my mum got so pissed. Are you a man or a female, Andre? Yeah, parents really don't like shaved heads. I think it can look quite attractive. On me, it didn't, but on my friend also did it as well. She had curly hair, and it looked so nice, I thought. For me, it was a disaster the whole time. Even when it grew back, I had the hair that like stood on the end. Like it didn't go down, it was just like, yeah. So guilt, shame, just to fast track what you're saying, I think it would be good if we spoke more in depth. So if you called in or we did a one-to-one session, because it's not, I don't like to just bypass these things. I like to get to the depth of it, and I like you to get to the depth of it for yourself. But because you maybe don't want to call in or you can't book a session, I'll just go to the depth of it. Basically, by them doing this to you, yeah, it does bring up guilt and it does bring up shame and it does bring up all these feelings. But predominantly what it triggers deep down under everything is survival. Because your parents to date, so I presume you're young, you're like in your late teens or something, your parents to date have been your way of surviving. So if they disapprove of you enough, if they're angry with you enough, then they can chuck you out of the home. And if they chuck you out of your home, your food, your support system, your company, your friends have gone. Maybe not your other friends outside the family, but in the family have gone. And also your parents hold the image of you to the rest of your family. So they'll report back to the rest of the family what they think of you or what they like or what they don't, to your grandparents, to your cousins, to your aunts, your uncles. So in a way, they're very integral to your survival until you've got everything sorted. You've got your own home, you've got your money, you have your own possessions, and you're supporting yourself. You're still dependent on them. But when you get to that place where you're totally independent, then it is easier to go against the grain, although there's still going to be uncomfortable feelings. But what I'd suggest you to do is to go to what's the biggest fear if you totally piss them off, if they totally reject you. Like, what's that biggest fear? And the guilt and the shame, I would say, is more surface feelings, but they're very important as well, is most probably a result of a lot of conditioning to date, where you believe there's something wrong with your way of thinking or your way of behaving, and you feel there's something shameful of that. And again, that's about survival, because if you don't fit in with the group, if you don't get things right, then the group will kick you out. But it's also looking at that, because there can be many reasons why that guilt or that shame arose. We can look at the feeling in the moment, but it can also be because of the way your parents treated you, the way your school or education treated you, the way you interpreted things, the way your mind's interpreting it. And then what you want to do is you want to feel it in your chakra system, so you ask where it is. I would suspect that guilt and shame are in the solar plexus, and the fear of survival is in the sacral, and maybe also some in the heart. So you need to see where it is, so feel it in your body, understand it, get to the depth of those feelings beyond the story, and relate it to other stories in your life. So when you felt that with other people or in other situations, and see if there's big traumas there, and just notice it, feel it. And then after you've done that, you want to begin to, on the human level, refocus on what it is that you want. So what it is you want maybe is to be independent, to make your own decisions, to have healthy relationships. Or you focus on what it is you want. You find for you what it is you specifically want, and know that anything you want will come true. Then when you've done with that human level, so when you've got yourself into a more balanced place with that, then you can see that none of that's who you are. That's a functioning of the body and a functioning of the character, and it's not who you are. And in the character's dynamics, in your life, in the future, in pleasing your parents, in whatever you do, you're never going to complete yourself. Your completion is this moment. It's what everything arises in. And you mustn't skip stages, because often when we're in shame or guilt, we want to skip to there is nobody and there's just emptiness, because we don't want to feel the feelings. But I would recommend to feel the feelings, to investigate them and to give them some space, and then to move to who you are is this moment. And none of it's who you are, and there's nothing you actually need to do in order to be complete. And that's beyond you.